Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's iSeries webinar. I'm Aaron Ensminger, the Director of Education for the National Auctioneers Association, and I'd like to thank you for joining us for today's iSeries installment. iSeries is a free informational webinar series produced by the NAA in order to share auction industry knowledge and insight with NAA members and the general public. We're excited to present today's topic on marketing beyond Facebook. But before we do, we want to share a little more with you about NAA. Headquartered in Overland Park, Kansas, NAA is the world's largest association dedicated to auction professionals and represents the interests of thousands of auction professionals in the United States and across the world. NAA is dedicated to providing educational programming and resources to help members advance themselves professionally. The NAA's mission is to provide critical resources to auction professionals that will enhance their skills and successes, and its vision is that NAA members are the preferred auction professionals used in the marketplace. Among these resources is the iSeries, and today's session will be presented by Britney Ross, AMM. Britney is a native of Tacoma, Washington, and graduated with a bachelor's degree in marketing in 2011. She joined the team at Jeff Martin Auctioneers in 2012, where she manages the marketing and advertising for 7 different locations. Britney earned her auction marketing management designation in 2017 and her Mississippi real estate sales license in 2018. She has won numerous local, state, and national marketing awards for the company's excellent photography and printed material marketing campaigns. Outside of work, Britney enjoys sports, outdoor recreation, and spending time with her husband and German Shepherd. Before the presentation begins, please note that you can take part in the conversation. Type and submit your questions at any time during the presentation, and we will get to as many of them as we can during our brief question and answer period. After that, we'll ask you to take part in a very short 3-question poll as well. With that, Britney, thank you and welcome.
Thank you, and thank you for having me on here. I appreciate that, and I'm excited to kind of share some of my knowledge with y'all. I know that I have actually gained some from attending these as well. So first, I'm going to talk about some marketing beyond Facebook. These are some of the advertising avenues that we use. Some of them we've used in the past, some of them we plan to use in the future, and some of them we currently use. I wanted to go over each one of them and kind of talk about how they are important to your audience, how they are important to your auction. And I'm going to refer a lot to our company and what we do as for examples. Our auction company, we do anything from heavy equipment down to small miscellaneous items. So there's a large group of people that we target, and there's a large array of marketing that we do for an auction. As you can see listed here are our different avenues that we've used. And a lot of them we have went with before and we noticed it wasn't working. And that is one thing I can have someone take away from this is do not be afraid of change. Do not be afraid to go down a different avenue. If you notice one marketing method's not working, don't be afraid to change it to a different one. And the other thing that I've also noticed and that I think I would want somebody to take away from this is to pay attention kind of what your competitors are doing. It's always good to check in with them and see what they're doing. You always want to be a step ahead of them, but you always want to pay attention to what they're doing as well. Next, we're going to go to the marketing plan. Each auction we have, when we have it set up, we have a marketing plan. We sit together with the salesmen and any other personnel in the office that needs to be included, and we kind of discuss what's going to happen for this auction. In this meeting specifically, when I'm in there, I want to know what seller requests. Do they want a brochure, or do they want it in a specific publication? That's always important to know so you make sure you're making them happy. You always want to make sure that they are satisfied at the end of this. The budget for an auction. The salesman over that auction should always have a gross estimated sale of what they assume that the auction is going to bring. And from that, depending on your company size and depending on what you've just established as a company, what your marketing budget is going to be of that estimated sales. Some marketing avenues may work in certain regions and some may not. So the geographic location, we personally go and we have 7 auction locations, and we will also go to seller site if they're selling out, then we will go to an auction on their site. So depending on what works in that area may depend on what my marketing plan is going to be. And you always want to make sure when you're setting up your marketing plan that you pay attention to the 5 W's. Who are you marketing to? What are you marketing? What assets? When is the auction going to be? Where is the auction going to be? Why are you, even advertising this event? All that's important to cover, and you don't want to leave any of that out. Otherwise, the customers are going to keep calling you with questions. You want to make sure you got that all covered in the beginning. A lot of times we do, if there's auctions back to back, we will do combined auction advertising. So if there's 2 auctions that are back to back in similar areas, we will go ahead and include both of those auctions on one postcard. It double does the advertising for me in all areas, and it saves on the budget. So it's actually really effective for us. After we've established our marketing plan, we kind of go into the different avenues, and I'm going to go over each one that we've either used or continue to use or plan to use in the future. One of them that we do is email marketing. We personally like to send out emails to our customers usually twice a week. I found that during the middle of the week actually gets a better response rate. When I'm doing my email marketing, I like to make sure that I have my mail list organized in my email marketing list. That is, I actually segment mine out according to how customers, what information they want to hear, what type of auctions they're interested in. If they're interested in construction equipment or if they're interested in firearms, I only want to send them emails that have items that are pertaining to their interests. That keeps them engaged, and it keeps them wanting to hear information about us. If they keep getting spammed with a bunch of auction information that they aren't interested in, they're going to unsubscribe to you. The subject line should be short and engaging. When you have subject lines, you don't want it to be too wordy, too long. Otherwise, they won't be able to read the whole thing. You just want to capture their attention. You have a couple seconds to capture their attention as they're going through all their emails in their email inbox. You want to make sure that you're getting to the point when you're getting that subject line set up. The content of your email. I always like to include a couple of featured items in there, some specialized items, some really big ticket items. Those are always seem to get a lot more clicks when I've got what I'm selling in the auction included in there. You always want to make sure that you test and preview your links that are in the email. Speaking from experience, you always want to make sure the link's going to the right auction, to the right item. You always want to test and preview that before it goes out. We've really gotten into these digital brochures, which I actually have an example of one on here now, and we've actually got a great response from that. This is, we use FlipSnack, and it's got a small fee to it. And this allows people to view the brochure online without actually having to get it in the mail or go in, and it's very similar to like a magazine. You just flip through, and it actually has direct links to an item to where you can go to that specific item on our webpage. If they want to zoom in, read over anything, they're more than welcome to, but that is an option for them to view the items. And we always include that link within our emails, and we've gotten great responses from it. It looks clean, professional. People love it. If you take a look at our pictures here on this page, we try and make sure that either a sign is in the background or nothing's in the background. We don't want to take their focus away from that item. We want to make sure that they are focusing on that piece of equipment or that truck. So make sure there's not any debris or people in the background. Clean, professional, big pictures. You want to make sure that they're sending them over in the largest size possible. That way, if they end up going on a brochure, front of it, the size is not an issue, or pixel size is not an issue. And again, you want to make sure you're keeping your emails simple. Digital marketing, we do banners on publication sites, and we use Google AdWords, and those all help us reach buyers in several different locations. This is an example of a banner ad that we have done. Those get sent directly to our website. We also have utilized listing our equipment on publications as well. For example, we use Rock and Dirt and Construction Equipment Guide. Having our equipment on there reaches a whole new pool of people, helps with our clicks to our website, and it gets additional looks. Those publications are a complete marketplace where you can list your equipment, and that just gets additional eyes on our items. The Google AdWords we also use as well. Those actually tie into our Google Analytics, so we can actually get the feedback on, see what's working and what's not. with our Google Analytics, we can tie and see what keywords are working for our company and what aren't, what are getting good clicks, what aren't, what are the hot words that people are associating with our company. And that way we can use that for future marketing reference as well. Another avenue we use are industry publications. We use Construction Equipment Guide, and this is actually a cover that we have done. We use Rock and Dirt, those are publications of which the buyers that we're trying to reach. We typically do construction equipment, heavy trucks is our big market, and those are where those customers are going. That's where they're going to get their news, so that's where we want to go and advertise. We also utilize local newspapers. As I said, that we do a wide array of items. We do anything from heavy construction down to small miscellaneous items. So getting those guys that just like to come and check it out and have a good day and be part of the auction atmosphere. You're kind of getting those people too when you're getting those door-to-door mailings. And we actually have a Mississippi Marketplace Bulletin. That is where a lot of the agriculture customers are going to get their farm tractors, their farm equipment. So we've targeted a lot of customers there as well. Door-to-door can be pricey, but you just kind of have to survey yourself and see what's going to work for you as a company. Your local associations, we've actually created a great relationship with our board of supervisors and our local general contractors association. With that, you can get involved. You can get included in their newsletters. You can get involved in their email blasts. They may charge a small fee. You just kind of have to see what their association would charge. But if you're creating a relationship, and they'll actually give you customers that may have called them looking for something in their trade shows. We actually just did a trade show recently for Supervisors Association, and we got great feedback from that. So getting in their faces and getting to shake their hands is really a great marketing tool. And of course, the National Auctioneers Association is another place where you can post your events and get some looks there from customers. Direct mail, I would say, is probably our biggest advertising tool. That is where we get the biggest response from. And I know that because we advertise our customers or survey our customers, before auctions, after auctions, and we try to really find out where they're hearing about our auctions from. And this is continuously our number one is our direct mail. And I think that is because we keep a good up-to-date mail list. If we get returns in the mail, we're calling those customers, trying to get a correct address. And that's also touching base with those customers as well. They're knowing that we're here, that we're repeating our name, we're creating our brand. They know that we're here and they can't forget about us. So to be honest, when somebody moves, we're probably not the people they think about to change their mailing address to, but we're calling them or being proactive about it and making sure we're still capturing them in our audience. The content of your brochure or your postcard or your direct mailing, you just want to make sure that it is something that they're interested in. For us, descriptions are a big deal. We like to make sure that we have full descriptions on there so they're getting all their information they need on that item on there. We like to fully describe it so that they know that we are producing a quality item. Picture quality, touched base on that earlier. Same thing here. You just want to make sure if you're printing something that it's a quality picture. It's going to be large enough. It's not pixelated. There's not any garbage or anything in the background. And then with our segmentation, if we've separated our mail list out to what they're interested in, the gun dealers, the construction equipment, the farm equipment. So if somebody's a gun dealer or they're interested in firearms, I'm not necessarily going to send them something on a heavy construction equipment auction, especially if there's no firearms in there. Timing of our brochures and our postcards, we like to create urgency. I feel like we've tested it, and when we have sent them out earlier, tends to be that people put shit off to the side or forget about it. But when I send it out, a couple weeks before our auctions, it creates an urgency. They feel like they need to belong, they need to be there, need to do it now, and they want to be involved in it. So it makes them hurry up and get on it. Another big thing that has been a huge time saver for us and a huge cost saver for us is creating templates. Not only is it creating a brand image for yourself, but it has actually saved us a ton of time in design fees, and it has actually saved us a ton of time in designing and the timeline. Just plugging the pictures in, the words in, changing the date out. It all looks the same. You're just changing the date out and the pictures out. It saves a ton of time, and I highly recommend it for anybody else. Our next advertising avenue we use is promotional marketing. When you are first getting started out, this may be not something that you start out right away on. It can get very, very expensive. And if you do start out with it, be selective with who you send it out to or who you give hats to. Make sure that you're tracking who your high spenders are, who your high, if somebody's sold with you a numerous amount of times, yes, send them a hat. Just make sure that you're being selective about it. Otherwise, you'll notice yourself spending thousands and thousands of dollars on it. We do hats, we do T-shirts, we do cups, and you name it, we do it. But we also are very selective with who we give it out to, just to make sure that the customers really appreciate it and make sure that we're not spending thousands of dollars in letting it go too fast. Telephone marketing is something I think that kind of gets put in the back corner, but actually I think it's something that can be very effective. And that may be hiring a temp, calling on customers, telling them about the upcoming auction, or just calling to make sure that their updated contact information is correct. That, again, will help with your returns if you do direct mail, or if you do emails, calling customers, making sure that that's their correct email address, getting that information from them on what their wants and needs and interests are. What are they interested in? What types of items? Are they interested in construction equipment? Finding out when their birthday is, finding out when their anniversary is, or just simply talking to them. Customers appreciate these days being able to actually speak to somebody on the phone and it not be a dial by name menu, or, they want to speak and know that somebody's there, and it adds an extra touch of customer service. Radio marketing we use in our area, and it works for our area, although it may not work for other areas. In our area, country radio works for us, and that's the genre of people that it pulls in. But you want to make sure that it's something simple and catchy. Just drop the name of the auction, the date, the location, all the prominent information, because you got to want to spend it under 30 seconds. The more seconds it is, the more costly it is. So you just got to watch. It may be higher priced in a costly area, so you just got to watch your price on that. Signs for us, this is one of our wrap trailers that we have done. We actually have this out in our Stanton, Texas location. It has actually been very effective for us because we designed it to where we could just change out the date on it. Everything else remains the same. We just swap out the date with the decal, and it stays in that same location. It's actually been worked very well for us. On signs, you just want to make sure that the auction date, time, website, phone number, all that information is visible and large enough for them to understand and see. When they're driving by, you don't want them to have to crank their neck. You want to make sure the signs are positioned so that they can read it correctly. And when I say correctly, have the sign off the road and in a perpendicular position to the road, and make sure it's double-sided so people can see it from both ways. You want to make sure for us, we include our deadlines on ours. That way people know when they have to have their equipment to our yard. And you want to make sure it's a clear font, big enough font. Depending on how far back you have your sign off the road will kind of depend on how big your font needs to be. But you want to make sure you're picking something that's not too designy where they can't read it from a distance. And then next we have blogs and press releases. Blogs, press releases, you can send those out to other third parties and they'll send those out for you. You can actually pay to have somebody do that for you if you don't have anybody in-house to do that for you. Most will charge a small fee for that, but you can also use their outlet to advertise your blog or your press release on there as well. This does help with Google rankings, especially when you are utilizing other parties. We've used other publications and put our blog out there. So it's not only on our webpage, it's also on theirs, and it's on our social media. You want to make sure that when you are writing a blog, that it is relevant to who you are as a company, that it is pertaining to you, that you are using those keywords that you did use in your Google AdWords. Make sure, if you're a construction equipment auction, that you're using construction equipment words. That will help with your search engine optimization. It also is recommended that you do about 2 blogs a month, and that if that works for you as a company. Some examples of what we've done blogs on in the past is, how to do something, upcoming events, if we've had a new hire, if there's an award won by our company or certification, we like to announce those on there as well. I know this is titled Marketing Beyond Facebook, but you can't forget out the other social media outlets that are on there. I did want to touch base on YouTube and videos. Canva is a outlet that we use to design for our social media. There is some stuff that is priced for an upgrade, but most of it is free on there. You can use it for presentations. You can use it for images, for social media. It's a great outlet to use. Instagram is being caught on very well. A lot of people just like the option of just looking at pictures. Again, make sure it's content friendly. Twitter, a lot of people use that as well. YouTube is actually the world's second largest search engine. If you are taking videos, I highly recommend you put them on YouTube. YouTube is highly searched. So if you are doing a video on an item, we do all of our videos and then we put them on YouTube with a description. That way, if anybody's searching for an item that's similar like that, YouTube's going to be one of the first sources that pops up over our own webpage. Videos are huge. As it reads on the slide, a video tweet is 6 times more likely to be retweeted than a photo tweet. And of the 41% of marketers who have used Instagram or video, 78% found it to be a more effective strategy. Again, when you are doing videos, make sure there's no background noise in there. Make sure your camera's stable. Use a tripod if you need to, or a third person. A lot of times we'll do video of equipment running. That gives the customer reassurance, and especially if somebody's buying in a different country, they can see the machine moving and they have some knowledge on the equipment, how it runs, so they can be sure and be comfortable with their bid. Oops. Okay, customer service marketing. Although you don't think of customer service right away as a marketing method, it really is. And Jeff would thoroughly say that. He has really tried to implement in our company the Disney motto, the Chick-fil-A motto, that you really take care of your customers. So for us, we do thank you cards. We send thank you cards to customers after an auction, or after there's a situation, or if there was a conflict on something. You can't beat a handwritten note. I mean, I know that we're progressing in time, but I think that a handwritten note still holds a ton of value on a customer. And I can't tell you how many compliments that we've gotten because we sent a handwritten note to a customer. It may not be all of the customers that register an auction. Maybe you select a few that have spent over a certain dollar amount, or new customers, but it is highly effective for us. Greeting and walk-in traffic, and walking customers through a process step by step. When you take the time to show that you care about a customer, it speaks volumes about you as a company. Being flexible, if situation arises and you're flexible in the situation, the customer is going to really appreciate that. And training your employees, again, using that Disney Chick-fil-A motto to really train your employees that the customer first. Resolving conflicts and following up. If you have a conflict with a customer and you're following up on it and you're checking back after the situation to make sure everything's okay, that really speaks volumes for you as a company. And after all, word of mouth is the best kind of advertising you can get. And hopefully that's in the good way, that when people are speaking volumes about you as a company and they're spreading word out there and thinking you're a great company, that's the best advertising you can pay for. Getting to know your customers. Again, what we've used and how we've used all this to understand these different marketing methods is we've simply surveyed our customers. We've asked them when they register for an auction. We survey them after an auction. How do you hear your information? How do you hear about this auction? And that's how we get a lot of our information from our customers. Earlier, I mentioned about gathering people's birthdays. You want to make sure that you're getting that way. Hey, it's your birthday, send out a birthday card. Kind of shows. You wouldn't think of an auction company as doing that, but it shows that you're thinking about them. Find out where they enjoy spending their time. Send them a gift card, a holiday basket right around the holidays. And you get to know this information about your customers from their purchase and selling history. Go through your database system, and I know it may be expensive to have this built into your database system, but if you can track how their purchase history or their selling history or their dollar amount, you can choose what customers you kind of send that information to. And lastly, last slide is the gathering data. The reason that we get all this information from our customers is we survey them. We find out what works. We analyze data. We use our Google Analytics. We use different URLs and find out, hey, are people looking at the signs, or are people coming from this avenue, or people come from this avenue? You can purchase multiple URLs through GoDaddy. And again, we also track through Google AdWords as well to see how many people are clicking through, what keywords are working and what's not. But if I could have one recap for y'all and you guys want to take something away from this, I would tell you to make sure you're asking customers, make sure you're talking to them, find out what works for them, find out where they're hearing their information from. And don't be afraid to change. I know that you may be stuck on, or you think that this one marketing avenue is really working. Don't be afraid to try something new. You never know. Stick with your brand and don't try and change too much. I've heard it time and time again. If you're testing something out, give it some time. Give it 3 months to see if it's working. And then if it's not, go ahead and change. But don't just keep switching your brand around. You want to stay consistent and always pay attention to what your competitors are doing. You always want to stay a step ahead of them. I want to thank y'all for having me. I really appreciate it. I hope y'all can take something from this. I know that I always usually do. And if you didn't learn anything new, I hope you did. But I hope that you guys can gather something from this.
Britney, thank you so much. We've only got a couple of minutes for questions, but there's one I wanted to be sure to pass on to you. Britney, do you feel like your templates create complacency with some of your viewers? And if so, how often do you reevaluate and redesign those? And how often do you recommend?
I definitely think that you should keep it in there for a time. I definitely think 6 months to a year, keeping that it would be sufficient. I do agree that you do need to not be complacent, but you need to have them understand your brand. Maybe you change up your look about it, but you still stick with those same colors. You can change a little bit about it, but you can still stick with your same brand image.
Britney, thank you so much. Everyone, that'll wrap up this portion of today's event, and I want to thank everyone who submitted questions, and we'll do what we can to get those to Britney. It's time now that I ask for you to give us some feedback on today's session. If you'll watch your screen, you'll see the poll start to come up, and answer the questions as they appear. We'll move fairly quickly, so please answer just as quickly as you can. Your first question of 3, how much experience do you have with marketing? Brand new, 0 to 2 years, 3 to 5 years, 6 to 10 years, or more than 10 years? Just take a couple more seconds. And your next question, on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being the highest score, 1 being the lowest, how would you rate today's iSeries presentation? We could wrap that answer up. On our last question, I learned something today that I didn't know before. Yes, somewhat, or no? And thank you all for taking part in our survey today. Before we end today's session, we do have some updated information on upcoming NAA events. Registration for NAA's Auction Marketing Management Designation course in Alabama is now open. Space is filling quickly for this event, which will be held in Birmingham on September 10th through 12th. We will also hold AMM in December in Las Vegas, so watch for more information on that soon. Information for all NAA events can be found at auctioneers.org/events. As we close today, you'll get a replay of today's session through an emailed link by the end of the week. In addition, if you're an NAA member and you've missed any previous iSeries sessions or would like to hear them again, iSeries archives are available at auctioneers.org/NAA education. You do need to be an active member, and you will need to log in to access those. And finally, an iSeries programming note. Your next iSeries webinar will be Wednesday, October 3rd at 2 p.m. Central, and we'll explore UsePap, what it means, and how to use it. We'll send specific information on that in the near future. Thank you again to Britney for sharing your insight today, and thank you all for taking part in today's iSeries. That concludes today's webinar. Have a great